third arch muscle. Okay, see here, the third arch muscle come down. Here there is the pharynx. There is the one special muscle which takes origin from the styloid process to the pharynx. This special muscle is known as the stylopharynges. Okay, so this only one muscle, stylopharynges, which takes origin from the styloid process inserted into the pharynx, is the derived from the third arch. So tell me, what should be the nerve supply? Nerve of the third arch, glossopharyngeal nerve. So what you have to remember, the stylopharynges is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. Do you remember? All the muscles of the pharynx, they are supplied by the pharyngeal plexus except stylopharyngeal muscle. Because this stylopharynges is derived from the which arch? Your answer is the third arch. That's why it is supplied by the nerve of the third arch, glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, so after this fact, now we are going to see only one muscle develops from the third arch. Now we are going to see, yes, the fourth arch. Fourth arch muscles. So what are the muscles getting developed from the fourth arch? Yes, the first muscle is the muscle which is attached between the cricoid and the thyroid. So this muscle is known as the cricothyroid muscle. 1. It is the muscle of the fourth arch. Next, all muscles of palate and all muscles of pharynx. This all the muscles of the palate as well as all the muscles of the pharynx, they also develops from the fourth arch. But remember, except, we will see later in our detailed part of the palate and the pharynx that except tensor palatini. Do you remember? The tensor palatini was the muscle of the first arch. Okay, and in the same way in the pharynx except stylopharyngeus. Yes, do you remember? Just before this fourth arch we have studied the stylopharynges. Yes, stylopharynges. What the point? Now see, because this tensor palatini is derived from the first arch, so according to the rule, the nerve of the first arch is the mandibular nerve, so the tensor palatini is supplied by the mandibular nerve, while the stylopharynges is derived by the third arch. And the nerve of the third arch, yes, which was the nerve of the third arch? Your answer is the glossopharyngeal nerve. So the stylopharynges is supplied with the glossopharyngeal nerve. Yes. So now again come to this. Do you remember the nerve of the fourth arch? Yes, the nerve of the fourth arch was the vagus nerve, or you can say superior laryngeal nerve. But see here, the superior laryngeal nerve was having the internal laryngeal nerve and external laryngeal nerve. Got the point? Yes, internal laryngeal nerve, I will tell you in the larynx part, it is sensory. So how it will supply the muscle? It will not supply the muscle. So external laryngeal nerve supplied directly to the cricothyroid. So if the examiner is asking the nerve supply of the cricothyroid, controversial question, so the best answer will be the external laryngeal nerve. If not given in the option, you can mark the superior laryngeal nerve also. If not given in option, you can mark the vagus nerve also. Better we will discuss in the larynx part, but here it is sequence. The various MCQs we have completed here. Now try to understand the all the muscles of the palate and the pharynx. We are going to talk about this all. Later we will see, yes, the nerve that is supplying the superior laryngeal nerve, that is correct. But the better answer we will see in the pharynx and the palate part, vagus nerve is the better. And you know, vagus nerve gets help by the accessory nerve, that is the spinal accessory nerve, cranial accessory nerve. The cranial accessory will participate. So what I want to tell you, yes, vagus nerve, it get help by the accessory nerve. Yes, 11th nerve. So this vagus nerve and the accessory nerve, two nerves together known as the vago-accessory complex. Just to make easy, I will teach you later in detail. The vagus nerve is giving the branches, the accessory nerve which is having the cranial root. The cranial root meets with the vagus nerve and makes one bunch, that is known as the vago-accessory complex, VAC. It is better because the palate and the pharynx, they are very complicated structure. They are not made up of one muscle, but they are made up of the multiple muscles. So all these muscles are not supplied by the single nerve like the superior laryngeal nerve. Better answer is the vagus nerve. But this vagus nerve is not alone sufficient to supply. So this vagus nerve is getting help by the accessory nerve. Now it again requires the help. So what happens? The pharyngeal branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, it also help. So what I want to tell you, 10th nerve, 11th nerve along with the 9th nerve, these all are meeting together and making the bunch around the pharynx. Suppose this is the pharynx and this is the esophagus. What I want to tell you, yes, what is the pharynx? Pharynx is nothing, upper part of the esophagus. Okay, so that is the pharynx. Now see here, the vagus nerve is coming, it is supplying the branch to the pharynx. Diagrammatic presentation, vagus is giving the branch, but this vagus nerve is not sufficient to supply the pharynx, so it is taking the help of the other nerves. So who are the other nearby nerves? Yes, suppose this is the 11th nerve and this is the 9th nerve. 11th nerve and the 9th nerve. So what is happening? The 9th nerve is also giving the branch towards the pharynx, and one root of the accessory nerve. I am just showing you the diagrammatic presentation. Later I will tell you in detail the one branch of the accessory nerve. It is also coming to the posterior surface of the pharynx, and all the nerves are uniting together and making the bunch of the nerve. This bunch of the nerve on the posterior surface of the pharynx, this is known as pharyngeal plexus. Got the point? Again, I will teach you this pharyngeal plexus separately in pharynx part, but here pharyngeal plexus, you can remember, it is formed by the branches of 10th is the best answer, but also it takes the help from the 11th and the 9th. So you can remember the 9, 10 and 11. These nerves are mainly participating in the pharyngeal plexus. So these are the main branches. In detail, yes, vagus nerve and the accessory nerve both unites to form vago-accessory complex. And remember, which root of the accessory nerve? Your answer is cranial root of the accessory nerve. So this is the another MCQ. So what I want to tell you, on the posterior surface of the pharynx, the various nerves are making the bunch of the nerves. That is the pharyngeal plexus. Remember, pharynx, palate, these are not single structure, not single muscle, they are group of muscle. So group of nerves are required. The main nerve is the vagus nerve. Okay, but what are the other nerves which are just doing help to these nerves? They are the pharyngeal branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve and yes, the cranial root of the accessory nerve. They are helping to this vagus nerve. So these all the nerves are supplying to the pharynx as well as the palatal muscle. How can you remember in other way? Yes, the trick for you, P for pharynx, P for palate. So all the muscles of the pharynx and the palate, they are supplied by P for pharyngeal plexus. Other nerves also participate in the formation of the pharyngeal plexus, we will discuss later. But remember, P for pharynx, P for palate. All the muscles of the pharynx, all the muscles of the palate, they are supplied by the pharyngeal plexus, or you can say vago-accessory complex, or you can say vagus nerve also. But the best answer is the pharyngeal plexus. Okay, except one exception. Yes, tensor palatini, because it is derivative of the first arch, that's why it is supplied by the nerve of the first arch, mandibular nerve, and the stylopharyngeus muscle in the pharynx, because it is the derivative of the third arch, that's why it is supplied by the nerve of the third arch, that is the glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, otherwise stylopharyngeus, one more trick, stylopharyngeus, we have to make the style by looking on the gloss. Yes, you know, style, we are making the hairstyle, goggles, this all in front of the mirror, in front of the gloss. So you can remember stylo, glosso, stylopharyngeus, glossopharyngeal nerve. So these are the various way how can you remember.